Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Let's talk Pocono Downs. Of course, Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs Racing starting this weekend. Joining us is one of the leading trainers, Chris Oakes. And Chris, I'm sure you're very excited about another year at Pocono.
Yeah, very excited. Get back to work, make money.
You got to work hard for that, and of course you get it done. And you have a place that's not too far from the track. That always helps to get your horses in and out.
Yeah, exactly. Real close and convenient, and the horses really seem to like it out here on the farm.
Well, tell us about, you've had a lot of great horses over the years, including Economy Terror, and that's one that everybody still wants to talk about. Tell us about Economy Terror.
Well, Economy Terror's a 5-year-old now, and we've been considering actually breeding her this year. And she won a couple of open paces over at Yonkers Raceway, and at some point we changed her mind, and she's actually racing tomorrow night at Yonkers in the Matchmaker series over there. And hopefully she'll do a little bit of good and again, stay racing well and healthy. And as long as she does that, she'll stay a racehorse for another year, and we'll just end up breeding her next year.
Well, healthy is what you want for horses, and you do some interesting stuff. Tell us about the pool you have for the horses. That seems to be helping with the stock you have.
Yeah, we built our own training center here. We have an in-ground swimming pool for the horses inside the barn, which is all heated and everything. And it's just a different tool we use to keep the horses fit. And, keeps their legs good and their feet good, and they're not constantly, running and pounding on them on the track. And it, keeps them happy. And it's a different change in the routine, and definitely seems like it helps them. So, just don't fix it if it ain't broke. It's working for us, and we kind of stick with that routine.
How about as far as any preference with pacers or trotters, or you just you do what you have to do?
Yeah, I kind of do what I have to do. I like both. Been lucky with both horses, the trotters and the pacers. So, I just like good horses.
Chris, tell us a little about your background. How did you get involved with harness racing? Where you're from, and tell us about here you are at Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs, and it seems like you're doing pretty well the last several years. Yeah,
I grew up in Buffalo, New York. So as bad a winter as we had here this year, it'd be just a very average winter back home where I grew up. So I'm used to the cold and the tough element. And my dad actually owned a few horses, and that's how I kind of got involved with the business through him. And I moved down here probably, maybe 20, 25 years ago because of the track here was such a nice track. Now, back then they didn't race for the purse money and things that they have now, and the casino wasn't here, none of that. But, I made the move down here and basically for the young horses to have the advantage of training over this really nice racetrack, and it was really good for that. But then as things changed here in this area and the casino came in, and now the purses are, basically second to none in this business, it's just going to end up being such a great move for me.
We're talking with Chris Oakes here on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs kicking things off this weekend. Chris, when you talk about the proximity to all the tracks, of course, you could head down the Turnpike, down the Chester. You could head over on 80 if you have to go to the Meadowlands. You go up 81 if you have to get into New York. So really a great hub to be at if you need to use other tracks. But I know you really like the track here, but a great location.
Yeah, this is kind of what I would call my home base. It is home for me, but that's the reason. Like I said, I came from Buffalo, and this was kind of a really centralized location, to easy access to all those other tracks. And like I said, I never would have imagined when I moved here that time ago that this track would actually be the track everybody from all those other tracks wants to come to now. But it's worked out, and hopefully, like I say, we can continue our success.
Chris, let's talk about some of the owners that you work for and guys you're involved with. And I know you have good relationships there, and making sure that you guys are buying some great stock and some good yearlings each and every year.
Yeah, I got locally here. I got Chuck Pompey. I've had him for probably 8 or 9 years. As far as the big owners now in the business, we got the Hauser brothers, who are based out of New York. They're buying. I mean, the guy started out 3 years ago with one horse. I think he owns 25 with me now. Last year, I picked up a guy by the name of Conrad Zurich. And, just absolute unbelievable owner. He bought the sail topper at Harrisburg. He spent $355,000 for a Sun Beach somewhere filly, yearling filly. And they want the best. And these guys, they back it up with their checkbook. And that's the big thing, too. Winning all these races, it's a complete team effort. If you didn't have, the owners and, all the caretakers, everything, it's just so many people work hard on this team to make a successful season every year. It's not one person. It's a lot of people doing a lot of different things.
Chris, how tough is it? Because everybody, it seems, in harness racing, for lack of a better term, you guys are burning the candle at both ends. You're up late after races and you're up early with the horses, but you got to get the job done.
Yeah, no, it's not even. I wouldn't even call it a job. It's a passion. To do this job and to do it well, you got to have a love for it. You wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, you go all day long. I mean, I'd never look at the clock. We're done when we're done. Sometimes it's 5, 6 o'clock at night when I'm finishing up, and I run in the house. I grab a shower. Half the time I don't get nothing to eat, and I'm heading to the track to race horses, and until that's done and over with. And it's like that all year long. I got like a little 3-month layoff here when the track closes down. We kind of take our time there, but when we're going full throttle 7 days a week.
I was talking to George Napolitano Jr., and George basically said, there's not a whole lot of downtime, and his personality doesn't really fit downtime. But if there is any downtime for you, what do you like to do to relax?
We always go away. We somehow seems like we always end up in the Bahamas for a week, and just honestly somewhere warm when middle of November, December comes around. I like to spend time with my family, to be honest with you. I'm always working, and I got a wife who's very good to me, and she owns a bunch of the horses also, and both my kids who I like to spend time with. But, running this type of business, you're always working, and I really get to enjoy and spend time with them for 3 or 4 months, which is very important.
Chris, I'm sure you have some big goals and big sights ahead for what you want to do with your horses. Tell us about some of the dreams that you'd like to do. Obviously, getting the breeders at Mohegan's great, and having horses at race in that is awesome. But how about some other things that you're looking to do?
Well, I always set goals every year, and basically they are mostly horse-based goals. Winning. I set the goals last year. One of them was to win the training title at Pocono, which I did. And another one was to win the Breeders' Crown because it was at home. And luckily I did win one of the Breeders' Crowns, and we had 2 seconds also last year. So it was a great year. And again, I set goals for this year, and I'd like to win another trainer's title here. And this year the Breeders' Crowns are down actually at the Meadowlands, and I stepped it up a notch. I want to go after 2 Breeders' Crowns this year.
You got to keep setting the bar a little bit higher. As far as drivers, there's so many great drivers out there, and I'm sure you have your pick as to what you want to use. But do you have some normal drivers that you use on a regular basis?
Last year it was Ronnie Pierce. For some reason, we hooked up at some point, probably midway through the season, and it just, for whatever reason, everything clicked. It seemed like every time we raced, the horses, would be first and second, and when things are going well, you tend not to change it too much. You stick to what works, and I'm sure he'll be driving a lot of my better horses. And George Napolitano does drive a lot of the race horses here at Pocono, and I guess I kind of just feel it out, and whatever seems to be working at the time, I kind of stick to that. And I'd say George and Ronnie Pierce and guys like that. Well,
your stuff that you're doing, Chris, is working. Your formula is working. Of course, you said you have some great owners and supportive owners that are doing what they need to do. Of course, you get the drivers on the track, and you're putting in the hours, and an understanding family, of course, and an understanding wife is all part of it. Chris Oakes, we wish you well this year at Mohegan Sun, at Pocono Downs, and beyond, and some of those goals you have. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot, John. I appreciate the call.
That's Chris Oakes here on the John Mendola Show, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.